To speak of the 18 emptinesses is to hit the target right on. To speak of 10 or 15 emptinesses would likewise provoke doubts, but this is not at issue. Moreover, good and bad dharmas exist in definite numbers. There are 4 foundations of mindfulness, 4 right efforts, 37 auxiliaries to enlightenment, 10 powers, 4 fearlessnesses, 4 unhindered knowledges, 18 special attributes, 5 aggregates, 12 bases of consciousness, 18 elements, 12 causes, 3 poisons, 3 bonds, 4 torrents, 5 obstacles, etc. Therefore dharmas exist in definite numbers. It is by means of 18 sorts of dharmas that one destroys the tendencies towards them. This is why 18 emptinesses are posed. I2. Relationship between the perfection of wisdom and the 18 emptinesses. Question. Prajnaparamita and the 18 emptinesses are either different or the same. If they are different, then what is this Prajnaparamita distinct from the 18 emptinesses? See what the Buddha said. What is this Prajnaparamita? It is the emptiness of form, the emptiness of feelings, concepts, volitions, consciousnesses, and so on up to the emptiness of the cognition of all the aspects. If they are not different, why does the Prajnaparamita Sutras say here that the Bodhisattva who wishes to become established in the 18 emptinesses should exert himself in the Prajnaparamita? Answer. There are reasons to say they are different and there are reasons to say they are the same. 1. They are different. The Prajnaparamita called the true nature of dharmas stops all consideration about dharmas. The 18 emptinesses are 18 ways of considering dharmas as empty. By exerting himself in the true nature of dharmas, the Bodhisattva produces these 18 kinds of emptiness. Therefore Prajnaparamita and the 18 emptinesses are different. 2. They are the same. The 18 emptinesses are empty and unreal. Prajnaparamita also is empty and unreal. The 18 emptinesses are the rejection of characteristics. Prajnaparamita also is the rejection of characteristics. The 18 emptinesses are not attached to any characteristic. Prajnaparamita also is not attached to any characteristic. Consequently, to exert oneself in the Prajnaparamita is to exert oneself in the 18 emptinesses. There is no difference. Prajnaparamita has 2 parts, the lesser and the greater. The person who wants to attain the greater should first exert himself in the lesser, namely the gate of means. To attain the greater prajna, it is necessary to practice the 18 emptinesses, and it is by first staying in the lesser prajna, namely the gate of means, that the 18 emptinesses are acquired. What is this gate of means? It is learning, reciting, retaining, studying and textually applying the Prajnaparamita Sutra. Just as a man who wants to find all kinds of fine jewels must go to the great ocean, so the person who wants to acquire these jewels of the prajna, which are the concentrations on inner emptiness, etc., must go to the great ocean of the Prajnaparamita by reading the texts dedicated to it. 4. The first 3 emptinesses and the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Question. Why does the yogin who is exerting himself in the Prajnaparamita first stay in the emptiness of inner dharmas, the emptiness of outer dharmas and the emptiness of inner and outer dharmas? Answer. There are 4 mistakes in the world. 1. The mistake of taking that which is impure to be pure. 2. The mistake of taking that which is suffering to be happy. 3. The mistake of taking that which is impermanent to be permanent. 4. The mistake of taking that which is not a self to be a self. In order to destroy the 4 mistakes, the yogin cultivates the 12 considerations inherent in the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Consideration A1-3 coming under Kyasamrtayupasthana. A. First he considers his own body, the inner body. Consisting of 36 elements, full of impurities that flow out of the 9 holes, it is very disgusting and void of any pure character. This absence of pure character is called emptiness of inner dharmas. B. Knowing the impurity of the inner body, the yogin next considers another's body, the outer body, which is, for him, an object of attachment. But here it is the same thing. The two bodies are really impure. Foolish worldly people, fanatical and disturbed, in whom desire has covered their minds, claim that this body is pure. But when I consider the beauty that I love, it is exactly the same as my own body. This absence of pure nature in another's body is the emptiness of outer dharmas. See. When the yogin was considering the impurity of his own body, it happened that he said that another's body is beautiful, and when he was considering the body of another, it happened that he said that his own body was pure. Now he considers both the inner body and the outer body, and he notices, my own body is impure and that of another is impure also. The body of another and mine are quite alike. They are no different. This absence of pure characteristic characterizing both one's own body and that of another is the emptiness of inner and outer dharmas. Considerations 4 to 6 coming under Vedanasamrtayupasthana. A. The yogin knows by reflection that the inner body and the outer body are both impure, but indecisive people cling to it because of a group of feelings, namely, pleasant feeling. This group is a lot of suffering, but fools consider it to be happiness. Question. But the three kinds of feeling, sukhavdana, dukkhavdana, adukkhajakhavdana are all included in the external bases of consciousness. Why is it said then that the yogin considers the internal feeling? Answer. First, the meeting between the 6 objects and the 6 organs gives rise to a happiness called external happiness. Then, extreme desire, penetrating deeply, gives rise to a happiness called internal happiness. In addition, the happiness that has internal dharmas as condition is called internal happiness, and the happiness that has external dharmas as condition is called external happiness. In addition, the happiness associated with the first 5 consciousnesses is called external happiness, and the happiness associated with the mental consciousness is called internal happiness. The coarse happiness is called external happiness, and the subtle happiness is called internal happiness. These are the distinctions between internal and external happiness, and they are also valid in regard to unpleasant feeling and neither unpleasant nor pleasant feeling. Moreover, the yogin reflects and wonders whether this internal happiness really exists or if it is imaginary. He recognizes that it is just suffering to which the name of happiness is applied. Furthermore, the yogin reflects and wonders whether this internal happiness really exists or whether it is imaginary. He recognizes that it is merely suffering to which the name of happiness is given out of habit. Why? Because this happiness, coming from unfortunate causes and conditions, itself arouses a painful fruit of retribution. The happiness of which one is never satiated is suffering. Furthermore, when a person suffering from scabies scratches himself or approaches a fire, the slight suffering that he momentarily experienced is followed by a physical suffering and becomes a great suffering. What the fool calls happiness, the wise man sees in it only suffering. In the same way, people, victims of the error consisting of taking what is suffering to be happiness, cling to the happiness resulting from the 5 objects of enjoyment and their passions increase. For this reason, the yogin does not see happiness and considers only suffering, like a sickness, a boil, an ulcer, a thorn. Furthermore, since happiness is rare and suffering frequent, the small amount of happiness does not appear and is therefore called suffering. It is like a ko of salt thrown into a big river. It loses its salty characteristic and is no longer called salty. Finally, happiness is so poorly established that there is doubt about it. What one person considers as happiness, another person considers as suffering. And what the other person considers as happiness, the first person considers as suffering. That which one gains is happiness, that which one loses is suffering. That which the fool takes to be happiness, the wise man takes to be suffering. Seeing the torments of happiness is suffering. Not seeing the defects of happiness is happiness. Not seeing the impermanent nature of happiness is happiness. Seeing the impermanent nature of happiness is suffering. What the person not detached from desire takes to be happiness, the person detached from desire takes to be suffering. Therefore the yogin considers happiness as suffering. He considers suffering to be an arrow piercing the body. He considers the impermanent and changing characteristics of that which is neither suffering nor happiness. Considering the threefold feeling pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant in this way, he mentally rejects it, and this is called the emptiness of internal feelings. BC. His considerations on external feelings and on both internal and external feelings are similar. Considerations 7 to 9 coming under Siddhasamritayupasthana. The yogin has this thought. If happiness is suffering, then who experiences suffering? Having reflected, he knows that it is the mind that experiences it. Next, he considers the mind in order to know if it is true or false. He notices that the mind is impermanent and has production, duration, and disappearance as characteristics. The mind of unpleasant feeling, the mind of pleasant feeling and the mind of neither unpleasant nor pleasant feeling each constitutes a different moment. When the pleasant mind disappears, the unpleasant mind arises. The unpleasant mind lasts for the space of an instant and, having lasted, it disappears. Next, there arises a neither unpleasant nor pleasant mind. This neither unpleasant nor pleasant mind lasts for the space of an instant and, having lasted, it disappears. When it has disappeared, there arises again a pleasant mind. The three feelings being impermanent, the mind also is impermanent. Furthermore, the ascetic knows that there are minds of lust or non-lust, of hatred or non-hatred, of delusion or non-delusion, distracted or concentrated, fettered or liberated, and he knows that these minds each